Resolved that, you ready? So I'll bring us out of camera, Madam Mayor.
Yes,
Resolved
please.
that as per section 152(4) of the Municipal Act, the Rural Municipality of St. Clements does now resume sitting a regular meeting.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, Councillor Boulanger, second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, we do have our delegation, and it sounds like they might be out in the lobby. Thanks, Rod.
Hey guys.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Am I up?
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh boy.
you're on the hot seat now.
Sue was
3 balls and 2 strikes, so.
yeah, exactly. Oh, here we go. Sue mentioned I shouldn't talk any AI stuff with you, so that's something that you're interested in.
Are you interested in AI as well?
What's that?
Are you interested in AI?
Yeah, no, I utilize it for like ChatGPT for work pretty frequently.
No, take a look at the new release that just got released yesterday.
Oh yeah.
ChatGPT 4.0.
Okay.
And it's integrated vision, audio, and everything, so you can talk to it.
Oh, is
It
that's
blows
the
Siri.
upgraded version.
That's the upgrade that
Okay.
they're gonna start releasing in the next few months.
Oh, no kidding, okay. Yeah, we just had at Steinbach Chamber of Commerce, we had this IT consultant come do a little talk thing. And he basically said if you're not using the Microsoft version of it.
Oh, Copilot?
Copilot, he said if you're not utilizing that, you're wasting time. So he challenged everyone, like, take a weekend and figure out how this thing works. Haven't done that yet, but.
Yeah, they did a live demo and they did a complete translation. Somebody talking English, somebody talking Spanish, somebody talking English, somebody talking Italian with no pause. As they're talking, it's translating for you to both languages for those people that
That's
understand.
wild.
It's amazing. And that'll be just on your phone by within a month or
No thanks.
I'm on that page.
Couple of weeks ago.
Okay, so I guess we have you here today to discuss the development, and I'm going to turn it over to Deepak and let him have the floor for now.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As you may recall, we have a report coming forward today to declare some of the municipal lands as surplus so that we can begin discussions. As part of that report, it identifies that we would go into negotiations with Shinko Developments to sell that portion of land after it's been declared surplus. And as part of that, Alan Kupenstein has come forward to talk about this and give us much more detail as to their support of this and why they've come forward. We've described in the report as to the details of how we got here, going back several years where the RM has continually looked for an opportunity to introduce more multi-family seniors type housing available within the settlement center of East Side. So on that note, it's all yours.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your time to come talk to you guys again. I mean, I gave a bit of a detailed report last time I was here, so I don't have any new information to provide based on that. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have from that time on.
Okay, I'm going to open it up. Anybody questions on the proposed development? And I guess sale of land first and then proposed development.
What I can do, Madam Mayor, if you want to indulge us, is that we can go to that report. Initially, I can walk us through it, and then I can answer any questions you have as I walk us through the report.
Yeah, that would be good, but I'm looking for it and don't see it, so can you give us the number on the agenda, please?
That one is, I'm trying to find it myself now.
Oh, maybe it's,
It is 9.16.
Thank you.
multi-family development. So let me just walk us quickly through this report. And so this is in relations to, so we'll go to item 9.16 first. And then in this, what we're talking about is the development of the lands in East Selkirk that are part of the old Public Works yards. They were, when the Public Works yard had moved over to CIL Road, we had looked at doing some development. In that period of time, part of the lands have been used to put the daycare on there. We've been able to do an analysis on there. There's been geotechnical work as well as an environmental study completed, phase 2 environmental on that property. So we have a general idea if there's any issues, and there hasn't been any. And with that, council had originally tried back in 2014 to see if they could look for some proposals to see if there was an opportunity for building. There were 2 proposals received then. One was for 2 apartment buildings and the other one was for 3 condominium buildings. The proposal 2 was for 63 units, and they had offered to buy the property for $315,000 to do the multi-family. In looking at that, administration recommended to move forward with that. Although that the developer had identified that they wanted to work with this on September 14th, by March 12th, they had told us that they had completed their due diligence and were unable to proceed further based on the cost of development and development approvals and so forth that they needed to go through. So from that, what we learned was that the long-term costs had to be taken into consideration as part of the purchase price, because that had to be taken into consideration. So although the price may be based on whatever the assessed value is of that much land, we have to take into consideration what is the developer going to do and make sure that there's a fair deal so that we can make sure that it works well. We had to also take into consideration that these are complex approvals, and especially when you're going to deliver in multi-family development. And so we need to make sure that whoever's able to develop on here has the capacity and the ability to deliver. And finally was the appropriate due diligence needed to be completed in advance, as opposed to just going out to do an RFP. But so after, although nothing moved forward back in January of 2022, council did direct us to go out and see if we could find some additional opportunities and see if there was anybody that would be looking. We sent this out to 30 different corporations, whether they were real estate firms, consultants, as well as builders and various development companies. And that campaign was to take a look at saying, is there anybody interested in doing some development on this land, and then we can begin some level of negotiation, similar to where we are today. That, again, resulted in 2 proposals that came forward, but unfortunately both proposals were lacking. The first one basically lacked any kind of a multi-family housing plan, and it raised concerns whether the developer was prepared or ready to be able to do that kind of development. The other one was that it was accompanied by a deposit, but the proposal was deemed unsatisfactory because it didn't lack any, or it didn't identify any specifics as to how we were going to do development. And there was significant concern, and then we had this discussion with council that there wasn't real viability in moving forward with these projects. So at the end of the day, at the outcome of the expression of interest process that we had started in 2022 came back with no substantial developer with any kind of a proven track record to deliver multi-family kind of development. As well, the other previous proposals received in 2022 were looking for support in order to do that work as opposed to purchasing the land and then doing the development. Since then, we've been in discussions with Schinkel Developments, and that's where Mr. Koppenstein's here today to talk about some of that and answer some of your questions. And so with Schinkel Developments, we have a very promising candidate who's able to move forward. They are willing to take over the property. They come with 40 years' experience. They manage over 2,200 condominium units, including some in St. Clements, about 150, I think, in St. Clements. And Shinko Developments has a diverse skill set where there are not only property managers, but they're also developers and builders, and they also manage apartments, hotels, commercial sites, as well as they do neighborhood development, specific large land development, and their partnership with Superior Projects for general contracting makes sure for a streamlined process that they develop. This minimizes the delays and complications that we may encounter. So with Shinko Developments, we see that there's a real opportunity to move forward. So they've come forward and they said that they're interested in it and will buy the land at a reasonable price. And that part is under negotiations right now with them, but as we're only declaring the land surplus, that's not the issue today. So with Shinko Development what they're proposing is to do a mixed-use development. One building with units, that'll be for rent, and another building that'll be for units for ownership. And this approach, we feel, definitely caters to a wide demographic, and will allow for individuals that may want ownership and others who may want to do rent and still be able to have the ability to stay within the community. Ownership opportunities, the for sale building offers residents the ability to own their homes and giving them a sense of investment in the community. Rental gives providers, individuals who may need housing and who would prefer the flexibility of not having to worry about home ownership. This can deal with young professionals, families, as well as retirees who are looking for a maintenance-free lifestyle. So the project manager, Alan Klippenstein, who's sitting in front of you today, his qualifications and experience in multi-family structures makes him a strong asset for this project. His expertise will ensure technical aspects of the development are handled effectively from design and construction to long term. The administration has had very positive experience working with Shinko Developments on another project, which was a land development project, and it's been highly positive. They've provided all documentation. They've shown their level of professionalism, working in a collaborative approach, but also they've shown their level of expertise in order to deliver on these types of projects. Therefore, what we're recommending is that based on the proven track record of Shinko Developments and their financial strength and the commitment to community engagement, administration is recommending that council declare the land surplus, the formally designated land as available for development, which will pave the way for Shinko Developments to be able to purchase that land. We're asking you to instruct the administration to negotiate with Shinko Developments and develop a sales agreement that we'll bring back to council, which will have a clear breakdown of the proposed mixed-use development. The agreement will specify the number of units in each area, as well as the timeline for construction and any other key provisions such as contingencies, dispute resolution mechanisms, performance guarantees, and ensure a smooth development process. We're also saying that a clause in the agreement should also be put in there because the intent is that we're dealing with it as an unsolicited offer, and so with that if the development does not proceed within 2 years after the sale process has been completed, the sale funds will be returned by the municipality. That means that we will cancel the sale and the municipality will retain ownership. So the intent here is to see development, not to just sell land, so that it meets the requirements according to the secondary plan the RM has established, as well as to the strategic plan that's been identified by the municipality and the direction that council has set. So this approach offers several advantages for the municipality. One, you get a qualified developer who has the experience of financial stability and will mitigate risks associated with the project. We have a flexibility in design. While the main concept of the mixed-use development is established, the agreement allows the RM some flexibility in influencing the final design. So this is not just a sale of land. This is a sale of land to accomplish a specific task, that's municipal land. Community engagement, Shinko Development's commitment to community engagement has been shown and proven track record, and it will ensure that residents have a voice in the development project. So as we go through the land development and land process changeover, they'll be able to bring in that level of community engagement. Revitalization of the opportunity, the development of this form of public works yard presents a unique opportunity to revitalize the area in East Selkirk. Shinko Development's proposed mixed-use development creates a vibrant space that creates a diverse housing need and potentially attracts new residents and future business. So, therefore, the development of the form of public works yard has a potential to be a transformative project for East Selkirk. By selecting a qualified developers like Shinko Developments and through a collaborative approach with the municipality, we can ensure that the project is completed successfully and has lasting benefits for the community. We're recommending that Council declare the land surplus, authorize the administration to proceed with negotiations with Shinko Developments, and develop a sales agreement to include that if not developed within 2 years, the funds of the sale will be returned.
Go ahead, Councillor Boulanger.
Just looking at these pictures, is the only ingress point into the development through the back of our RM yard? Is that the only?
That's the concept plan that they've shown. As part of the early negotiations as part of the sales agreement, so they're not really part of this decision at this point. And so when we do the sales agreement, we'll have a better idea exactly. So what Shinko Developments have done is they've taken a look at the land, they've looked at all the potentials and said this is what we're going to deliver for you. But based on that, before they invest any more funds in design and detailed analysis, they have to do their level of due diligence and provide, but they need to have some assurance that they'll be able to buy the land. And if the land's not declared surplus, so that's where we are today.
Well, the land wasn't declared surplus before?
No, it's always been an outstanding issue to declare surplus, how much of the land would be declared surplus.
I guess the reason I'm asking is even if the land does become surplus and a deal is made, then we can discuss this later, but the design I'm looking at now only gives ingress point through the back of our office. That's the only way to get back here.
Yeah, and I'm not really crazy about that one.
Could be looking at an old one.
That's not right.
Yeah, because I
That's
thought,
not, I think it's the next page, the page after.
I thought we had talked about a fence here, even blocking that off or some type of trees or
We
something
can discuss it,
like that.
that's just my,
Sure.
just a quick
I
comment.
think
I wanted-
the road's supposed to come off of here.
Okay,
I think the access point would be coming off the unnamed road.
Yeah, the Rink Road.
got it.
Which is one that we will have to come forward with and name it officially, because it's
Yeah.
not even named on Google Earth.
No, it's not.
I thought we were gonna call it Dave Road.
No,
That's
Oh,
Sutherland's Landing.
Scraper Road.
go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
So I guess the challenge with the road being straight and the road allowance not being straight will be dealt with in subdivision?
Correct.
Okay.
Why don't we just change this area to St. Sutherland? All right.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? I had one, but it now has escaped me, so that's okay. So basically, what we're looking at today is declaring this land surplus so that the whole concept can move forward, correct?
Correct. It would allow Shinko Developments to go out and develop a sales agreement. Based on the sales agreement, they're able to then go out and do the subdivision application, do their necessary due diligence, depending on what level of an agreement we come to. As a perfect example, many sales agreements will be dependent on getting the approvals, the zoning and development approvals.
And for them to find the 320,000. Is that right?
Correct.
You heard that, eh?
Yeah. I wasn't making the comment.
We need some for gravel, so.
Do you have anything that you want to add at this point in time, Alan?
I think the clause, the 2-year clause in there, I think that's perfectly reasonable. I think our intention has been made clear that the value that we feel like we're bringing to this deal is to take immediate action on it. So should we get this declared surplus, sales agreements can sometimes take a bit of time, a bit back and forth. So what I would probably propose is that we would issue like a letter of intent. So we could both sign that, and then that would free us up to now hire an engineer and start looking at putting together an actual site plan. Right, the plans that are on the conceptual drawings, the packages that I gave you, is really just by kind of me looking, right? So what makes sense, but you know, there's underground infrastructure there, not totally sure what the setbacks are. So we would probably then proceed with that and start moving forward in that direction, you know, simultaneously working on a sales agreement, as well as, you know, working with Sue on the rezoning and the subdivision application. So and all those things take quite a bit of time to do. The intention would be to hit spring 2025 to start construction, to have all those agreements done, subdivision closed and all that. So that would be basically our intent. But yeah, we would fully commit to a 2-year conditional on that, because if we're not hitting that, then we're not holding up our end of the bargain either.
Okay, anything else, Councillor? Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
So this is settlement center, so development plan would not need to be changed, just zoning.
We will check with planning on that.
Go ahead, Councillor Horwitz.
And then just so there's no doubt about the plan here, access would be off of Link Road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not coming through the back of the, because it's gonna be, we're losing that parking lot and now it's gonna be a little congested.
No, I think our idea was, and again, everything has to.
Well, from our last
site
meeting, I
out,
think
yeah.
that's what
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, we'd love to try to even find a way to sneak like a dog park or something in there.
right. Yeah, and that was on the proposed plan
Mhm.
when we were here last time.
Yeah,
So we thought that was pretty neat.
yeah, and that wouldn't be exclusive to just like these tenants, it could be a community-wide.
Right. Okay, next steps, Deepak.
Next steps is I have a resolution for council. Whereas Shingle Developments has expressed interest in developing 2 acres of land from property roll number 442500, legally described as A9229 municipal office lands, and whereas policy 333 of the Arm St. Clements requires land to be declared surplus before sale and development can proceed, and whereas council instructs administration to negotiate the sale of the land with Shingle Developments with a condition that if development has not commenced within 2-year period, the funds paid by Shingle Developments will be refunded. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Arm of St. Clements declare 2 acres of the municipal office property shown. Let me just recorrect that, and we'll correct that in the resolution. Therefore, be it resolved that Council of the Arm of St. Clements declare approximately 2 acres of municipal office property as shown in Appendix A, legally described as A9229, and with a property roll number 442500 as surplus. Further, be it resolved that the administration be authorized to proceed with the negotiating of sales agreement with the Shingle Developments with the following condition. The agreement shall be for the development of the aforementioned approximately 2 acres of land. Development must commence within 2 years of finalization of the sales agreement. In the event that the development does not commence within 2 years, Shingle Developments shall forfeit ownership of the land and it will revert back to the ownership of the municipality for the same price it was sold for. Shingle Developments will be responsible for the subdivision or rezoning of the land as necessary to perform the development. And the reason I mentioned approximately 2 acres is it could be slightly larger depending on where the lines are, so I don't want to just tie ourselves to exactly 2 acres.
Okay, can I have a mover? Councillor Bazarowicz, second, please. Councillor Horvis. Any further questions? I have one. Going back to the map, I guess, are we thinking about straightening that ring road, or are we going to leave it, like, I'm thinking of the acreage here.
We are, so that's
So
where,
if you straighten the road, you're gonna end up with a little more acreage probably.
correct, we're looking,
Our site plan assumes that, it takes that into account.
Okay.
Yeah.
so what we plan to do is correct something that's not what the actual conditions are on
Right.
the outside.
Go ahead, Councillor Horvis.
So when you say straighten it, does that mean that there'll have to be some road construction on it, or is it just in the
There'll be
drawing?
an opening and closing,
Right.
so there'll be part of the road that was originally identified as an opening, so if you follow the black line,
Yeah,
that's the road original
yeah.
design or
But it was
opening.
never built like that, the road's built now.
The road
Correct.
is,
Yeah,
So it's not consistent with,
I'm just going with if there was some change that we wouldn't be changing or fixing the road.
Does that require like a road opening or anything like that, or is that simply just a land titles thing?
that's one of the things we'll discuss with planning and land titles. I'm thinking it's probably just something straightforward to go through land titles.
Yeah.
The challenge we're gonna have is on the other side, which is the activity center, I think there.
Rec center, yeah.
Yeah.
We own that line too, don't we?
yeah.
So,
Okay, the resolution is on the table. I
Well,
have-
one side we're gaining, the other side we're losing. That's what I just
Yeah.
have to adjust.
Yeah, so I have a mover, I have a seconder. If there's nothing else, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried.
Thank you.
Great. I appreciate the effort that you guys have made to hear us out, and, Deepak and Sue for walking us through this. And we're excited about being in this neighborhood, and we view this as, one project of hopefully many. So this is kind of a bit of a litmus test for us, and we're excited to see where it goes.
Perfect, thank you very
Thank you.
much for
Thank
coming
you very
in
much.
today, Alan. Yeah,
No
much
books
appreciated.
today? No. Kevin doesn't have a book, come on.
Take care, you have a good week.
Where did they come up with the drawings to the road? Because I went by the pegs, like, how is it crooked? Where are the new drawings from?
I'm sorry, Counselor.
I'm just curious.
I've already looked into seeing if there was any way of disciplining the operator who did the work on the plans. But apparently the time has elapsed so much that I can't do anything about it.
Okay.
I don't understand the pegs.
I mean, ideally, I would have liked to seen some commercial there, but we've got commercial across the road here in Clifford, so.
Yeah, I know, and I guess it was briefly talked about, but these fellows are really into the residential part, which is, I think, great. It'll really change the landscape here.
But this will create more pressure to do,
exactly.
hey, it'll
Yeah.
bring that need for
As
commercial.
Deepak said, we need more chimneys.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, it's densification too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and chance for you to negotiate more.
I doubt
okay, are
it.
we going back in camera for this new and other business, or are we going to do it?
We're just going through the rest of the agenda
Okay.
now until we get to the camera down there.
Okay, so now that we are at number 9 on our agendas, which is the new and other business. And the first item is the hard surface roadworks.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And so what we have here is the hard surface road plan that was put forward. by Public Works as part of our annual plan and part of our budget process. The bids have gone out, and as part of the bid, we had identified 3 roads that were part of this marketplace: Deborah Avenue and Bridgeview Drive, which the tenders have come forward, and we're recommending to go with Fast Brothers Limited. If you have any questions,
Fast
for
Brothers?
answer.
I believe they're out of Blumenort. Sean, our public works technician there, he's worked with them on a few jobs and he's spoke pretty highly of them.
Don't they do dirt work mostly?
I believe they do, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Nice response though, 10 tenders.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I think that's what kept these prices very competitive. Kevin and I discussed this. One of the things was that we went out to tenders before the city of Winnipeg. And so that's the critical point of being able to go out to tenders early. As you may recall, we had this discussion last year about trying to get out as early as possible on our tenders. That's why this project is coming at the same time as our budget.
Yeah, I still want to get out earlier next year, but yeah, I think between the province and city of Winnipeg, they don't have their works out yet, so the guys are looking for work. So obviously it reflects in the pricing. So.
Good job.
Yeah.
Well, it's also your season is better, like, we did so many in the fall there, it's,
Yeah.
I don't know how they did the hot work.
I know they squeeze it in
Yeah.
just in the wire usually.
Yeah, but I mean, the product isn't the same, like, it just doesn't seem to hold together as well.
You're not allowed to really pave below like 5 degrees Celsius. That's industry standard, so we're usually, you're paving during the day when the sun comes out, but then it gets cool at night again too, so
Well, these guys will be buying their asphalt from somebody anyways, they don't have a plant.
probably, yeah.
Maple Leaf.
I think it is Maple Leaf actually.
Okay, if council's ready to deal with this, I'll ask for a resolution to move forward, please.
Resolve that council accepts the recommendation of the Director of Public Works authorizing the CAO to enter into an agreement with Fast Brothers Limited to reconstruct Park Place, Deborah Avenue, and the final 690 meters of Bridgeview Drive for the estimated price of $1,275,383.97 plus GST.
Can I have the mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, second Councillor Orbis. Any further discussion on the hard surface roads? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, carried.
Dave, do you think of Fast Eddie?
No, I think our council purpose is probably looking at the 97 cents and saying the exact amount for a road.
No.
It's all unit price.
No, I can tell you what it was, it was that, thing here of the 690 meters of Bridgeview Drive.
Okay.
The last part of the road.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on, 9.2 is some survey equipment that Public Works is looking for.
Yes, our survey equipment, this was identified as part of the budget process. Our survey equipment has basically become, it's not working. We have two pieces of equipment. One is used by our full-time surveyor, and the other is used by our students, and we need to buy it as soon as possible. So, as part of this, I don't know if we were able to get the April 30th price. We were still able to get the April 30th price. And so we're saving $2,600.
Did this go for tender, or is there only certain people you can buy it from?
So there's only a handful of companies that have the type of system that we use. This one we've typically always purchased from, so it's the same style and brand of unit that we have.
Oh, so you didn't go to any other places? for
No,
price?
they're all within the ballpark, but like of the similar price, so it's not a cheap unit though.
Okay, any other questions? If we want to move the topic forward, can I have the resolution, please?
Resolve council accept the recommendation of the Director of Public Works authorizing the CAO to purchase the Trimble R12i GPS system from Cancel Equipments for the quoted price of $45,393.45.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarowicz, second Councillor Sutherland. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call a question. All those in favor, opposed, carried. Roadside mowing tender.
So this is one of the reasons I've asked Kevin to stay, so thought there might be some additional questions coming on this one, so we can talk about that. In the past, we had a 2-year roadside mowing tender. Last year, we went with a 1-year contract rather than the 3-year. And this year, we're putting out, we put the contract out for 1-year tenders to be able to see if it's going to meet all the requirements, because we had some challenges in the past. So Public Works has changed some of the dates as part of this, and this is part of the thing that I wanted to have that discussion with council. First cut is to be completed between June 7th and July 1st. This was moved up by 2 weeks, and the second cut is to be completed between September 15th and October 7th. And this was moved up by 1 week in order to accommodate that we're beginning to see the grass grow sooner, or that there's been a lot of demands and pushback basically during the earlier parts. Public Works has also increased penalties for poor performance in this contract. So if we have to go back and do the work, they'll be charged 4 times the tender price. As well, Public Works is also renting a tractor for 6 months to cut further out into the ditches and drains as much as possible, so we can get that part of that.
That was my next question is, where do we tender it to that they have the right arm to get down as low as possible?
No,
No.
No, we, go ahead.
So, yeah, we reached out to all the typical bidders that we get, and most of them didn't have the...
That extended?
Sorry, thank you. The handy hitch that extends into the ditch, and they said if they did, that their rates would basically double. So if that is the case, then obviously it makes sense for us just to do it internally. Partially of this, doing the 1 year is to try it this 1 year. It's a different contractor this year that is a cheaper price. We had this contractor, we've done the cutting program now for 4 years. We had this contractor for the first year, which we had good results with. And then we went to the 3-year contract, and that's when we had some struggling. Now this same contractor has bid low again, so we figured my proposal was to try it 1 more year. If it's not going to work again this year, then next year we look at doing it all internally, and then I can budget accordingly for that.
how much did it go up from last year to this year?
So because...
Per your kilometer?
So the previous bidder bid on a 3-year contract and never changed his price for 3 years. So we had they didn't decide to up their rate over the 3 years. They bid, I believe it was $42.50 per pass mile for 3 years. So
did they bid here again?
yeah, they're $64.
Okay.
So, like, prices have gone up in 3 years.
Yeah.
That being said, yeah, that answers the question.
So we've got freezing this year, we're gonna try, right?
Correct. So we had them the first year when we first started the program. And we seemed to have better luck. But again, like I said, if it doesn't work out this year, then we'll go back to, looking at either leasing or renting tractors for the summer, and then that's gonna increase things, right? So.
Yeah, and you'd also have to look at additional staff if that was the route that we were going. I mean,
Correct.
at one time, we did do everything in-house.
We did, yeah.
Owned our
But-
own tractors, had our own operators.
But now that we've rented, we're able to shift those employees to do other things.
Right.
Now, if we do go full-time, we're basically gonna need, 2 seasonal staff, that's all they do, is go on the tractor every day and just cut grass. So now they don't get to pick up garbage, they don't get to do all these other things, so.
Right. Well, I do think that, going to the 1-year contract and just seeing how it works out, and if we had this fellow before and he was quite satisfactory, maybe it'll work out and we can continue on with him next year and perhaps have it for a contract for a longer period of time.
Yeah, with a longer period of time, I'm assuming we're gonna get better pricing. Obviously, we've seen it with the 3-year.
Right,
We had a significant savings there,
Yeah.
but then again, we had challenges with it too, so.
right. Deepak, go ahead.
So our contract states per linear mile, it also has $175 per hour for any additional work that we want done by those contractors. One of the discussions that happened with council was, what if there's certain areas that we may want, that council wants to give direction to the public works director to be able to do that extra work when needed. Of course, we'll report back to council on it, but if we have, let's say, another unusual year due to environmental, we get a lot of rain, a lot of sun, and growth season spurts like crazy, we may need to do certain areas a little bit more, at which point we'll
Would
come back and
the
address
tractor
it.
we're renting cover that?
It might, but it might require some
It-
additional
It
costs.
could, yeah, that's the thing, is like the intention of that tractor is to cut all summer. Like right now, we're planning on using it for doing the mulching and like pulling up some of the shoulders or reclaiming. And then it's gonna switch over to grass cutting. And then that's, yeah, it's pretty much gonna cut grass all year. So whether that means touching up, like you said, some of the urban areas, or just getting in the bottom of the ditches and cutting out to the back slopes, that's the intention. So.
It'd be cheaper than $175.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend that. Like, if that was a route we were gonna go, then maybe we try and look at another tractor, but then there's only so much we can do within the year, so.
And then it's the penalty here, right? This would be,
Yeah, so it's $500 a day for every day they miss cutting outside the window. And then it's 4 times what their bid price is, so it'd be basically just over $200 for every mile if they didn't cut it correctly.
you could rent them for $175 and make $25.
And I guess, not really switching subjects here, but the only comment that I would have, and I know that you're trying to get them to start a little bit earlier, I would have to ask that if at all possible to have all the cottage areas done by July the 1st. Because there's lots of stuff going on, and it seems that's where when people are crabbing that the grass wasn't cut, or, you know, this wasn't done, so
Yeah.
if that could be considered. Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
I was gonna say maybe push the week up. What is the date on there?
June
know if you
7th,
can,
oh,
just
July
After it's
1st.
already been set.
Yeah,
So the intent would be, it would be done by July 1st.
Yeah,
right, yeah,
We did push it up already.
We want
Yeah.
to push it up, so when you're saying to get it done by July 1st, the intent would be that they would complete everything by July 1st for the first cut.
well, that would be good, but I guess I was thinking more along the lines, like if you start at the south end and work north, and you start on the middle of June, you may not get up there by the 1st of July.
Well,
but
they're
if
required,
they don't, they get the penalties, right?
Okay,
they're
Yeah,
required.
but
Okay,
typically they do
perfect.
start in the south because they're cutting around Winnipeg and they just work their way north.
yeah,
But it usually only takes them a week to maybe 2 weeks to cut the entire round, so.
And you could ask them if they could start at that end.
I know that there are a number of residents in cottage country
Yeah,
that expect that the grass should all be
Yeah.
neatly trimmed and their dust
Well-
control and everything else by July the 1st.
and that's why I bumped it up to 2 weeks, because I just found that, like, it just wasn't enough, because lots of times they usually come in towards the end of when their window is, so I
Right.
just bumped it to 2 weeks just to give it that extra, because, like, if we moved it up even further, like, we're already middle of May, and
Yeah.
like, roadside mowing doesn't need to start yet, like, there's
No.
nothing there, so in 2 weeks, it could be pretty close, so I tried to tighten the window up a little bit.
Yeah, no, that sounds good, that sounds good. So if council's ready to move on with this, I think we have a resolution for it.
Resolve council accept the recommendations of Director of Public Works authorizing the CAO enter into agreement with Dennis Friesen to complete the 2024 roadside mowing as per RFQ 2024-06, being $58 per lineal mile or $175 per hour plus equipment.
Can I have a time, mover please, Counselor Spicer, second, Counselor Strang. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, carried. Okay, 9.4 interim raw water supply update.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What this is.
Upgrade, sorry.
Yeah, what this is for is the electrical work related with the pumps that we are upgrading the pumps for the 2 wells at the water treatment plant. We also need to do some of the electrical work. This is that electrical work. This is all part of the funding between us and the Water Services Board. We agreed to this part of the cost. Otherwise, we would have been looking at paying for these costs ourselves. We had identified this, that helps us to draw, and those pumps needed to be upgraded, as well as some of the electrical work. This is, we went out to tender on this, and, we went with the supplier on this, and they came back with the numbers, which has been approved by Manitoba Water Services Board. Generally, a project of this nature based on the Water Services Board application would have been just approved by them, but because we added this to the tail end of the contract agreement, we're doing the tendering and then they're giving us the 50% as part of this.
Okay, go ahead, Counselor Spicer.
So we have to approve the total, but really it's half.
Correct.
Spending.
That's right.
Anybody else have any questions? If there is nothing else, I will ask for the resolution to be brought forward, please.
Oops.
So half of 32, right?
Correct. Yeah. And there's quite a bit, like, there was also, if you could remind me, Kevin, my memory's not so good, but it was about $150,000 for the pumps.
For the pump upgrades, yeah.
So that was another $75,000 from the Water Services Board for that.
But it's not
No, because
No,
they
they're
did it separately and just said, we're basically sole sourcing the electrical to the company that did all the electrical inside the plant already. So,
And the pump upgrades were able to be put into the project. This one had to go out as a separate.
Okay. But
So,
usually Water Services requires tender for all this, but they approved this so that you have to be tender for it.
correct.
yeah.
So what they approved this and said, we'll just give you the 50% towards that part of the project.
Okay, thank you.
Resolved, council accept the recommendations of the Water and Waste Coordinator authorizing the CAO to issue a purchase order to Long Beach Construction for the estimated cost of $32,727 plus applicable taxes to be paid through the water pipeline project of the Manitoba Water Services Board.
Moved by Counselor Spicer, second Counselor Boulanger. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried.
So this next one is the purchase of the 3/4 ton trucks that were also identified as part of the budget. And as part of those 3/4 ton trucks, we've gone out, Public Works has looked at different places and different prices. And we've been able to find some within the allotted budget of about $135,000 as well.
Yeah, it's close. So the budget was 132 or 135 plus taxes. So.
And so we're recommending to go forward with the 2024. The part we want to address in here is, as part of this, is that we've gone out in the past and bought sometimes used. But what's happened now is part of that asset management issue that we talked about before with the fire department. Similar issue here, all our old equipment are all of the same age, same number of kilometers, which means they're all going to need to be replaced at the same time. This way, newer vehicles will give us time to spread that replacement cycle out much more efficiently.
So the trucks that these are replacing, are they going to be put for sale as surplus equipment, or are they done, or where are we at?
So what we would do is, auction them off would be my recommendation. We never gave the dealerships basically stab at them because we know we're not gonna get anything for them, like they're gonna be a couple $1,000s if that for the vehicles, right? So I would recommend would be to put those into probably a surplus equipment auction in the fall and then sell them off.
There's nothing you could use at the dump or anything like that?
We have one there now, yeah.
Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
So we're looking at 2 3/4 tons, is that what we're replacing, is 2 3/4 tons?
Correct.
These are gassers too, right?
Yeah, and they're crew cab, standard box length, so not short box, not long box, but they're standard.
It's not a bad price, even for a gasser.
Yeah, we did some shopping, so,
What kilometers are on the used ones? Around,
that's a good question.
like 250, 200?
Yeah, some of them, yeah, up into the 290s.
So these will be pulling trailers and stuff, that's why they're 3/4 tons?
Correct, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, getting back to the surplus equipment, I guess that's something that we should keep in mind for the fall is to
Yeah.
whatever, like whether it's public works equipment or if there's anything in this
Fire
building,
department as
fire
well.
department.
We have a couple of things sitting from the fire department that we're looking at, either posting an auction or putting it online and just cleaning some stuff up,
Right.
which I'll bring to you guys with a list of stuff that we're looking at getting rid of.
Okay, so council's ready to deal with these two new public works vehicles, then if I could have the resolution brought forward, please.
Resolve council accept the recommendations of Director of Public Works, authorizing the CAO to purchase 2 new 2024 Ram 2500 3/4 ton trucks from Chuds Chrysler as quoted for the price of $135,000 for 2 trucks plus equipment.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, second Councillor Bazarowicz. Any further discussion?
Yeah, are these just regular cabs or?
No, they're crew cabs, yeah. So the ones we're replacing are regular cabs, but they're saying they're just base model work trucks or something fancy. You look at that liner in there.
You have to order a regular cab probably.
Yeah, not as common.
Okay, I have a mover, I have a seconder. If there's no other questions, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried.
Next item.
Excavator motor purchase.
So, our excavator motor has basically gone kaput. And as part of the process, it's had some metal go into the motor, which has caused issues, so basically it's shut down. Gone to look at replacing it, and we're looking at 1, to rebuild it, or 2, to buy a rebuild and plug it back in. The price is marginally difference between the two, not significantly material as to the price. And the advantage is that Public Works has been doing a very good job of keeping track of their regular maintenance and updates. In discussions with CAT, said that this is kind of unusual. Why did this happen, considering we have such a relatively new machine? And what they said was that they would be willing to go 50% on this, although we are no longer on warranty on the CAT, which kind of shows the kind of relationship we have with CAT and how they work. And so we're recommending to go with the option 2, which is to have the rebuilt motor put in, as opposed to, you might have an opportunity to rebuild, but you have no guarantees that there may not be other costs that sort of pop up when they start rebuilding.
Yeah, and they're talking 4 to 8 weeks for the rebuild versus the crate. They said they could have it in 4 days. So I'm guessing a week to 2 weeks for install, like by the time it's up and going.
I'll move it.
Glenn, you had a comment?
No, Deepak said rebuild on option 2 is crate.
Oh, yeah.
It's a brand new engine crate, it's not a rebuild.
No, but there was 2 options.
Yeah.
Option 1 was rebuild, option 2.
Option 2 was a rebuilt motor. It's not a brand new.
Well, yeah, I could clarify that, like, Cat says that it's a new motor, but chances are it's a fully rebuilt, could have been from somebody's core, right?
You think it's a reman?
It could be, but it's fully rebuilt. Like Cat, when they rebuild something, they sell it as like if it's a new motor. So they'll have all sleeves,
Well,
pistons,
they have
brake
reman
pads.
stuff too.
Yeah, and that's the thing, they're gonna give us money for our core, and that's gonna come off the price as well.
Or even if you buy new stuff from them, they give you money for the core
Yeah,
lots of times.
yeah.
But that's a fair deal.
Okay.
Yeah, I did nothing.
I'm not sure, are you seconding or do you have a question,
I'll
Councillor
second and
Spicer?
then I have a question.
Okay, can we let Deepak read the resolution first,
I looked
please?
on his face, I knew there was a question in there.
Yeah, me too.
Resolve the council accept the recommendations of the Director of Public Works authorizing CA to purchase the replacement installation of the CAT 323 motor from Toro Mod CAT for $24,796.12 plus applicable taxes.
Okay, it was moved by Councillor Horwath and it was seconded by Councillor Spicer. And go ahead with your question, Councillor Spicer.
So how much warranty do we get on this motor?
1 year.
1 year or 100 feet.
So get some warranty, past the warranty.
Yes.
And that's installed, 24,000?
Correct.
You take it there, or they come in here?
They come here. Because for their shop, they're like 4 weeks out. Versus when we pay them to come out, they can come there within the day.
It's a fair deal.
Well, they just did that, I'm sorry.
That's okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say, they just did that for a cylinder for us. One of the main cylinders on that same excavator got chewed up. No idea why. We told Cat about it and they said that shouldn't go, that doesn't make sense. So again, it was off warranty. They replaced the cylinder in full and said, we wanna take your old cylinder and find out what happened, like, so we can change it.
Did they tell you there's no contamination in the pump, the hydraulic system?
No.
Nothing?
And the thing is, like, every interval that was required, we sent in Cat the samples, so like the filter, the oils and all that. We never ever heard back from them saying like, hey, you got contamination or something's going on. We've never heard anything. And yeah, what happened is it spun a main bearing and took out the block. So, and it all started from an oil leak. We started investigating it further and found that it was toast. So.
Okay, we have the resolution on the floor. It was moved by Councillor Horwath, seconded by Councillor Spicer. I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried.
Madam Mayor, the next item on the agenda is the Community Forest Grant Agreement. This is the Dutch elm disease agreement that we have with Manitoba. It's our standard agreement we sign every year and we're recommending approval.
Okay, bring it forward and we'll see if there's any questions.
Resolve the Community Forest Grant Agreement dated May 14th, 2024 between the Arm of St. Clements and Manitoba Economic Development, Investment, Trade, and Natural Resources be accepted, and the mayor and the CA will be authorized to sign and seal it.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, Councillor Sutherland seconds. Any discussion? Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
So this is the standard agreement, didn't we typically have like a maximum number? I didn't see it in this agreement.
No, usually the province comes up with a list.
Yes.
And whatever the list is, they're required to remove.
Based
And
on the sizes, then they need some more.
yeah, they used to do it based on the sizes, but now it's just a flat rate, which has been a pretty well a break even for us.
And Green Drop does it, or who?
Yeah, we tender it out each year, so we'll be doing another tender again, but Green Drop's been doing it for 2 or 3 times now, so, yeah.
We used to make money off of it a long time ago, but not.
Yeah, we were actually falling short for a bit, and then now it's come back in. And actually, a little side note that I guess they're having a little bit of a surplus cash, and they've been kind of giving us last minute, like, oh, you got $20,000 you can spend. So, like last year, we ended up buying a dump trailer for brush and some extra chainsaws and all that kind of stuff. It has to be related to tree removal or planting of new trees. So that's something else that it comes in usually last minute, it's tough to make work, right, so.
Okay, so, go ahead. Go ahead, Sandra.
I was just gonna say, when that time comes that they are gonna be going through after we do the tender, that if we can communicate with our residents in a newsletter saying that there will be people walking through your yard, because I remember I was getting phone calls. People were just going through people's yards and people were questioning them.
Yeah, like,
And they didn't have ID on them.
when we do the inspections, because like we go and check on the trees that are removed, like we'll knock on the door, see if anybody's home, no one's home, then we'll just go in the backyard, go to the tree, and then leave kind of thing, or if it's in the front yard, whatever. I know the province is pretty good at it, but the contractors, you know, how they might be, they might end up venturing through people's yards to remove them. They are supposed to get permission slips from the residents, so like they do damages and all that kind of stuff, but.
But I think even if we cover it in the newsletter saying this is happening at this time,
Yeah.
we need to.
Go ahead, Councillor Harvest.
Maybe if you guys do that, you should get a little thing printed up and stick it in their doors if they're not home. You know, just saying this is what's coming up or whatever, and have a little piece at the bottom, call our office for permission or cut this off and give it to us or whatever.
Yes.
You know, if it's in their door, if it's in the door, then they can't say that nobody told them or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, next is 9.8.
did we vote?
Oh.
Did you?
We're gonna move to a sector.
Okay. Any further questions? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, carried. Okay, so now we are down to 9.8, and this is a grant.
This is for a grant application. And so Brendan's here to answer any questions if you have as part of this. He's put forward a request, and we're we're going to be putting forward for a grant with a ground-up grant project from the federal government. And what it does is it identifies that if we get this approved, we'll have to have committed our $50,000 towards it. The intent here is to turn the gravel path around the St. Clements Activity Center, to turn them into asphalt, as well as to put in rubber as opposed to wood chips in the playground, so that it's a little bit more accessible and make the area a little bit more accessible. This area has been chopped up, and there's some pictures showing you. Yes, Kevin, you can leave.
Yeah, I'm all good, right?
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks,
Have a
guys.
good week.
Yes, you too.
That's where the rubber hits the playground.
This is where the rubber hits the playground, yes. Thank you. And so as you can see from the pictures, the pathways, you know, although they were designed, are not working out as well, especially with the bad weather.
I just have a question. I agree with all this, but I read quarter down they put down there when they put that path, like it, why didn't they do whoever did it, like proper path, like quarter down, I guess it's gonna turn.
Should have put it at least half inch.
I know it's no sense talking about it now, I just was curious why whoever made a stupid
Well,
path.
maybe
We
if we don't
can
get the
have that
grant.
discussion after
Well,
the
that's-
cameras.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to look at this community forest grant. Oh, maybe
Yes.
what we do here.
No, not community forest, from the ground up.
From the ground
From the
up.
ground up, sorry.
Is it about a kilometer of walkway, or how long is it?
I can't remember the exact distance, probably roughly about a kilometer, yeah.
I thought it was more than that, I thought it was around
It could
2.5.
be higher, I forget the exact distance.
Yeah, I think it might be about a little over 2 kilometers.
Okay, any other questions? I guess all the information is here, and Brendan's here to answer any questions. Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
Okay, so just for clarification, so the grant maximum is 100,000 and we can get 50 and we have to come up with 50.
Correct.
But the quotes are like $150,000, aren't they?
So, if I may, that's two separate quotes, because I intended on focusing on one of the two projects this year.
So we have to pick one or the
Yeah,
other.
so we're picking one or the other.
So it's not both, it's not the rubber, and it's not, it's either you do the trail or the
Yes.
rubber playground. That's the way I read
So your rubber doesn't hit the
it.
I don't know, can we pull the shoulders on the trail?
There's nothing to pull, let's put it that way, if you've been there, it's still not.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
remember,
take
if
that.
we get the grant, then we'll be able to make some decisions. At this point, it's just making a commitment saying that we will find the money. If at some point we do get the grant and we find that it's not something that we want to invest in, just let the grant pass, it's happened in the past. Okay, so whereas, if I could read the
Go
resolution
ahead.
number. Whereas the Manitoba government has issued from the ground up grant opportunity, and whereas administration has proposed two projects that the grant funding could be used for, and whereas council approval is needed for funds in order to move forward with the application, whereas administration has gathered estimates for the two projects in the amounts of $98,000 and $49,000 respectively. Therefore, be it resolved, council authorizes the administration to proceed with the grant application submission for the South St. Clements Activity Center asphalt paved pathway. And furthermore, be it resolved, council commit 50% of the funding of the grant if grant successful.
Okay, can I have a mover? Councilor Brazioli, second, Councilor Strang. Go ahead, Councilor Horvitz, you had a question.
So if the center comes in under budget and there was 50 grand sitting there, could that money be used to go towards this?
It possibly could. There was some funds that were identified from the original grant that were taken out because they had identified that the pathway was already completed. But if we have money left over, I can
Just
certainly make a request.
just-
No, definitely. We'd have an opportunity to
Victor
make
will
that
come in under
application.
budget, I'm sure.
Yes.
Okay, so I have a mover, I have a seconder. Are there any other questions? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, the next one we have is the Grand Marais Community Central Aquarium.
Thank you. And what this is about is the aquarium is needing significant work, approximately $5,000 worth of work. And what we're recommending is also $300 per trip, or get into a service contract, which will cost about $300 for servicing, so that we don't run into this situation again. The aquarium needs to be also stocked with flora and fauna, but not fish.
Fish as well.
And fish. But that's not part of the $5,000.
I think that would be included in one of those service visits, not $300.
We will no longer need to negotiate for the fishing license for the province of Manitoba anymore. And we will no longer have to ask Henry to go on a fish. They will provide it for us for $300.
Once a year, they $300 to come out there to do this?
He recommended once every few months, but because it's a seasonal aquarium, probably at most twice a season kind of thing.
Yeah, that aquarium was, when it was built, was supposed to be looking after itself.
Well, I think it was for quite some time, but then as things didn't happen as they should have, then it kind of went into a bit of disrepair, and there were no fish in there for a while, and our poor little turtle was all by itself in there. Go ahead, Councilor Boulanger.
It lives for 100 years.
Yeah.
This is the best solution for the person who developed the aquarium, for him to maintain it and look at it and Go with the person who designed it.
Yeah,
This is the
exactly.
best solution.
Yeah, and even though it does cost $300 for a trip, it's well worth
Yeah.
it because at least they know what they're doing and they know what they're looking for when they go up there.
It's a feature.
It is, like I know every time I was up there, I, enjoyed looking at the fish and the turtle and, go ahead, Councilor Sutherland.
That $300 for the trip, like, how many times a year does he have to, come and check on it? Couple?
Yeah, he recommended every few months, however, like I said, it's a seasonal aquarium, so probably twice a season would be the
Yeah,
best.
okay.
They probably
Thank you.
ask him to
Yep.
go. Yeah,
Just curious.
yeah.
Okay, anything else that anybody wants to add? Go ahead, Pat, please.
Whereas the Grand Marais Community Central Aquariums are in need of repair, and whereas Ecosystems by Design provided an estimate of $5,000 to repair work and additional $300 per trip for future services on either an on-call or contract basis. Therefore, be it resolved, the council authorize administration to proceed with the aquarium repair at a cost estimate of $5,000, and further be it resolved that this chief administrative officer be authorized to enter into a service contract with Ecosystems by Design for aquarium services and maintenance.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, second. Councillor Horwath. Any further discussion?
I have one question.
Sure.
So this should get us away from the $5,000 to get it fixed again every year?
Yes.
I'm hoping.
Yeah. Like, I understand startup cost, and I get that, but $5,000 sounds a little steep to me, but I guess it's probably needed to get it back to where it needs to be.
I think what happened
After
was,
the COVID.
when it was developed, this company put it in, and this company was never asked back to fix it, maintain it. What expertise can you help us with? It was just left. So that's what we got to where we are.
So then $5,000 is more like a rejuvenation here.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I have a mover, I have a seconder. If there are no further questions, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. 910, the Reconciliation Road plaque, and I know that we've been
This has
asking.
been a long outstanding issue. And I have to commend Brendan on getting this done and done so quickly since he started. He's focused on a lot of outstanding issues. And this is one of them, and the next one that's going to be coming after this, those are the two important ones that were
Yeah.
kind of these recognition plaques. The issue was that the lot was donated by Councillor Horwath, and the challenge was trying to get a plaque put on there that would be attached and would be tamper resistance as much as possible. Because as you may recall, we already had some challenges when we originally went down this road. And so with that, it's a reasonable price at $3,293 to put a proper plaque in there. Now what we have is the original plaque that we did create, that we used when we did the announcement.
Right.
So what I'd be recommending is if we can, if council's in agreement, what we'll do is we'll frame that and put it into the council chamber as a recognition, maybe beside that other rock.
That's a fly rock. We won't go there. Yeah, any questions, comments? Go ahead,
Better
Councillor.
than 6,000 to remove a muskrat.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
is there one plaque or two? Were we not having one in Lebo also? At the other end of the road?
I didn't think so.
No, it was
Just a
just
sign,
at the
I think
rock
we were-
itself.
Yeah, sign.
We have a sign that's on,
Yeah.
we have multiple signs, and the
I
idea
just
was.
remember we had discussions about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Councillor Basil-Roach.
That's an installed price?
I believe so.
And do you have any idea what this plaque is gonna look like at this point in time?
I found a old mock-up that was done up, and I
Okay,
figured we would just kind of
Use
utilize
that
that
same
one for
one?
sure. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
You have it out of my
I have it
office?
on digital, yeah,
Okay, I have the original in my office,
perfect. Yeah.
the one that will frame afterwards.
Okay, so,
We had it completed on metal
right,
originally,
Okay.
and that had all the writing and the font, so
Right.
we want to duplicate all that.
okay, so it's going to look like the original one we had done
Correct.
quite some time ago. Okay, I was just curious to see what it was.
I had a digital copy and I did send it off to him as like a preliminary one as well.
Okay, any further questions or comments from council? We want to bring that one forward then, please?
Resolved that council approve the purchase of the Reconciliation Road plaque from Jade Sign Works in the amount of $3,293 plus taxes.
Can I have a mover? Councillor Spicer, Councillor Corbis seconds. Any discussion? Did you have a question?
No, I'm okay.
Okay, any further discussion? Call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, we are at South St. Clements Activity Center, I believe the plaque there. Thank you.
And so here's another one. This is the plaque at the South St. Clements Activity Center to Rotary for one, the peace pole, and the other associated with the trees that were provided by Rotary. And this is a thank you plaque, and there's 2 plaques that will be purchased for the price of $3,210. Again, this has been a long-standing issue, and part of the challenge was when to put it in there, and now we're at that point where the construction, I think, is right there. And I commend again Brendan for doing this. As you may recall, this was also brought up during the finance public open house.
It's brought up a few times, but I guess again, I'm gonna ask the same question. Do we have a mock-up of what this sign is?
This one I didn't have anything. They did build a design fee into those costs though.
Okay,
They will be, if they can design the signs for it.
right.
And so we'll contact Dave Thorne from the Rotary and make sure that the wording is consistent to what the expectation of the Rotary was.
Okay, so then, depending on how that conversation goes, this price may change a little bit?
No, the design
I've got the
is
design
taken
piece
into
built in.
consideration.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay, perfect, thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
And this one, these 2 signs are going to be tamper-proof?
Yes.
That's all? Okay.
The signs are, both signs, the other one and this sign are being provided. And these signs are tamper and graffiti somewhat proof.
Okay.
Okay,
Sandra?
go ahead, Sandra.
Question, are we going to do some landscaping around the peace pole?
Well, I stopped there yesterday, and I think we have to maybe do a little bit of work around the peace pole and that, because it's got a bit of a lean to it right now, and I'm not sure what, like, I was going by there and decided I'd like to have a look at the building, and couldn't see much of the building, but I did see that part, so.
Just found it.
Yeah, it's,
Couldn't see the building?
no, couldn't see the building, it was too short.
It was still underground.
No, it's above the ground, but they have a fence all around it, so you really can't see much, so.
Did you see the muskrat?
I didn't see the muskrat, because I didn't get out, it was too dark cold
I'll leave the
yesterday.
muskrat.
It's like, when's Christmas?
Anyways, anything else on this one?
No, and good points about the landscaping. There was a vision of maybe putting some flowers and doing some things around this peace pole.
Yeah,
We want to be careful to manage this because the peace poles are, appropriately designed and set up in the same fashion throughout Canada. So, as Rotary's been putting them in, so there's places in Winnipeg and other places, so we'll take a look at that and make sure we're consistent in its application.
So you can't move it, is what you're saying?
The peace pole?
Yeah.
No, it's, the area that was selected is
Yeah.
where it is. We'll definitely fix it if it's leaning. That might be just due to the sign of times with the state of the world, the piece is no longer useful.
It could have something to do with the winds that have been blowing for the last few days too.
Winds
So
and more.
anyways, did we read the resolution? We lost.
Resolved that council approve the purchase of thank you signage for the Selkirk Rotary Club's generous donation of trees and peace pole at the South St. Clements Activity Center from Jade Sign Works in the amount of $3,210 plus taxes.
Moved by Councillor Gazarovich, second by Councillor Strang. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, Lebo Community Club, a letter of support for the Red River Mutual Spruce Up Your Story, and a letter of support for their application for From the Ground Up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There are two letters of support here. One is for the Ground Up grant that they are able to apply for. If they receive the other grant, they won't necessarily need to have any support from us. But if they don't, we're looking at probably 50% or whatever percentage if they don't for their project. So this just is a letter of support at this point, which gives them the opportunity to make an application for that. That's what's critical at this point.
It doesn't say for how much though, right?
They'll specify that in their application.
We'll verify that.
I have a copy, they've already sent it to me, and I've had a chance to review it, so I can get the amount off there for you.
Okay, thank you. We'll share that with council.
Yep.
Let you know. Can't have a
Okay,
blank check.
any other questions or comments? If not, I'll ask for the resolution to be brought forward.
Resolved, administration send letter of support on behalf of council to the Lebo Community Club for the grant application to the Red River Mutual Spruce Up Your Story and From the Ground Up for their community club facility upgrades. As I recall, this was, the community club upgrades was around the $20,000 range.
That's what they're asking for.
That's what they're asking for, I think it's 73,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken.
Okay,
That was it for the resolution. Okay, so can I have a mover then, please? Councillor Horvis, second, please. Councillor Strang, any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried.
next.
Okay, hardwood floor letter of support, that's from the GMRA.
Correct. So the GMRA has been approached and it's been recommended that the Sea Bears are looking at, you might have even seen in the paper, they're replacing the portable hardwood floors that are used for their games with a new hardwood floor. It's an historic hardwood floor, so they want to be able to look at donating it somewhere. So there's an opportunity for possibly using it as part of the GMRA's upgrades and works. So at this point, there would be no cost. And so what they're looking for is a letter of support. So a letter of support's been drafted that would go out with that request. I've had the discussions with the GMRA. We initially it'll be just to acquire, and if they do get it, we will review it to the building code to make sure that it doesn't have any impact on any of the upgrades.
We should ask Ryan.
Like
Okay.
10 inspections.
Any further questions or comments on that?
It's a rubber floor,
Hardwood?
Hardwood,
hardwood floor.
yes.
Okay, can I have the
Would you like to
resolution?
see a picture of what it looks like?
That's okay.
So the resolution is resolved, administration send a letter of support on behalf of council to Sea Bears Basketball Club supporting Grand Marais Recreation Center's efforts to acquire recently retired hardwood floor system. Now, we'll send a letter to the president of GMRA, and he'll just send that along with his request.
Well, and I would imagine this has to be done sooner rather than later,
Correct.
because I don't know how long they'll hang on to that floor if they have other people asking about it.
Well, they're not replacing the floor till the end of this season,
Oh, okay. Oh. Okay.
but they need to have a plan, and that's what
Right.
they're doing.
Okay,
You see.
okay, can I have a mover then, please, for the resolution? Counselor Orbis, Counselor Spicer seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, I need to take a 5-minute break. Sorry.
Give me a moment to shut the camera off,
Oh.
before you guys talk. Please stand up.
I forgot.
Is he gone?